A market is in equilibrium when the quantity demanded equals the quantity supplied. The market is in equilibrium when the quantity demanded equals the quantity supplied because every buyer who wants to purchase can find a willing seller, and every seller who wants to sell can find a willing buyer. Since both buyers and sellers can achieve their desired quantity, the quantity traded equals that value that is equal to both the quantity demanded and quantity traded, and we call that the equilibrium quantity. The price that makes quantity demanded equal to quantity supplied is called the equilibrium price. Now, how can we find the equilibrium price and quantity? We find it easily by the intersection of the supply and demand curves. Suppose we're talking about, I'll be very general here, the price of a good, the quantity of the good. I've got a downward sloping demand curve. I've got an upward sloping supply curve. We'll call that point E. Point E is where demand and supply intersect. The height to point E, maybe that's $10. That is the equilibrium price, P sub E. And the horizontal distance to that quantity is maybe it's 500. And that equals the equilibrium quantity. We'll call that Q sub E. What happens when price is less than the equilibrium price? Shortages occur and price tends to increase. Let's use our supply and demand graph to see what's happening. So we got a demand and supply, and we had an equilibrium price of $10. We had an equilibrium quantity of 500. Suppose for some reason that the price in the market is only $8. It's less than the equilibrium price. Well, if that price, the quantity supplied is less than 500, maybe it's $400, 400 quantity. The quantity demanded is greater than 500. Maybe it's maybe it's 700. Okay. Well, the difference between the quantity demanded and the quantity supplied, the quantity demanded is now greater than quantity supplied. When the quantity demanded is greater than quantity supplied, we say that a shortage exists. In this situation, buyers want to buy more than sellers want to sell. As a result, sellers will see their inventories fall more rapidly than expected and will recognize that they can increase price without reducing the amount sold. Right now they're selling 400 because that's what they're offering for sale. As a result, shorted sellers tend to increase price when shortages exist. So look what's going to happen. When we have this shortage, when the quantity demanded is higher than the quantity supplied, that's going to push price upwards. As price rises, suppliers increase the quantity supplied, consumers decrease the quantity demanded, but as long as there's a gap, price will continue to rise. Price will continue to rise until it gets pushed all the way back up to the equilibrium price of $10. Now what happens when price is greater than the equilibrium quantity? In that case, surpluses occur and price tends to decrease. Let's go back to our supply and demand graph to see it again. Quantity, price, we got demand, we got supply, we had $10 as the equilibrium price, we had $500 as the equilibrium quantity. Now let's suppose that the price is up here at $12. Well, when price is above the equilibrium, the quantity demanded is going to be less than 500, maybe it's 300, and the quantity supplied is going to be greater than 500, maybe it's 600. In this case, the quantity supplied is greater than the quantity demanded. When the quantity supplied is greater than quantity demanded, we call that a surplus. All right. A surplus means that sellers want to sell more than buyers want to buy. As a result, sellers will see their inventories fall less rapidly than expected and will recognize they must decrease price in order to sell as much as they want. So sellers are going to start, this surplus will start to push down on price. As price falls, the quantity supplied begins to decrease, and the quantity demanded tends to increase. But as long as there's the gap, as long as there's a surplus, downward pressure on price exists, and that downward pressure will continue until we reach until price falls all the way back to the equilibrium value of $10. Here's a nice summary of the various events. Oh, here we go. Perfect. Nice summary. If the market price is less than equilibrium price, then the quantity demanded is greater than quantity supplied. That means you have a shortage and price will tend to increase. If market price is greater than equilibrium price, quantity demand will be less than the quantity supplied. We've got a surplus and price will tend to decrease. If the market price equals equilibrium price, then the quantity demanded equals the quantity supplied. We have neither a shortage nor a surplus, and as a result, price will tend to remain constant.